When I was 15, I was head over heels for this boy. We were together for almost a year, but most people didn't know behind closed doors, he was very abusive. I was already dealing with my own problems at home, and with this abuse, everything just piled up. And then one day I found out I was pregnant and I wanted to keep the baby. Keep in mind I was 15 and had mental issues going on as well. But then when my parents found out, they were furious with me and my boyfriend. One day when I was looking for something, I saw my mom's computer about me being transferred. I didn't think much of it and I just brushed it off. After a really good day at school, I came home to two strangers telling me to pack up and we had to leave. I was extremely terrified and they grabbed me and my parents were nowhere in sight. A few plane rides later, we were in North Carolina for a wilderness program. I cried for days, not knowing how to deal with the pain of being alone and pregnant. When the snow started coming in, I eventually got hypothermia and I fainted and I rolled down a hill. I was so scared when I woke up and kept asking how my baby was. I was bleeding badly and I was told I lost my child. From then, I blamed my parents because they knew this would happen. I became stronger and stronger and finished my time at the wilderness program before a year later I was a product of an affair between my mom and dad. My mom was already married and had a 1-year-old daughter. She wanted to abort me, but my dad begged her and paid her a hefty sum. She signed over all rights and I didn't see her for my 14 years of life. She recently contacted my dad saying she wanted to get to know me better, and he said it's entirely up to me. I was skeptical but decided to meet her. I'd been talking to my mom's side for about 2 months when at a family gathering they all sat me down and said the reason they contacted me was because my half-sister was having kidney failure and was basically dying. At a loss for words, I got up and left. I told my dad and he said it's entirely up to me but I should get tested just to see before I make my decision. So I did. When my mom found out, she thought this was me agreeing and told everyone the good news. I did a lot of thinking and I decided I would not be donating my kidney. This family had done nothing for me. The only reason they tried to get in contact was for my kidney. So I don't want anything to do with them. I got loads of hateful calls and messages, but decided to stand by my decision. My stepsister called me and said I'm a douche for giving her false hope. People are saying I'm wrong because I can save a life. My stepsister did nothing wrong. But I feel so used. Am I the asshole for not giving my sister my kidney? I've always had a good relationship with my mother-in-law up until I was pregnant. My husband's side of the family hasn't had a girl born in the past 100 years. So when everyone found out I was pregnant with a girl, no one believed me. Everyone was so shocked when it was announced that most of them denied it up until the moment she was born. And that's when the horrible comments started. Whenever my husband wasn't around, my mother-in-law would make snarky comments like, "I wonder where she got that nose. It's definitely not my son's." I never told him and let everything slide because she's older and she's my mother-in-law. But when I was pregnant with baby number 2, and yes, it was another girl, I told him to wait as long as possible because I know she wouldn't like the news. When she found out it was a girl, she started sobbing and screaming. She was calling me a whore and demanded that I get out of her house. "Those girls are not ours. She's a whore, a slut. My son did not make those girls." She looked at me and said, "I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in as family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that brat, but I will not allow it again." My husband was yelling at his mom and I got up and took my daughter and I ran to the car sobbing. I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant with twin girls. My sister is 28 and has had 14 miscarriages. She's only had one successful pregnancy which resulted in my 4-year-old niece. I'm not against having kids, but I definitely wanted to wait until I graduated with my degree and I was married to my significant other. From the start, my mom has been saying I should give my babies to my sister since she deserves them more than I do. And my sister completely agrees. I told them hell no, and my mom calls me a selfish bitch. Throughout my pregnancy, my sister has been begging me to give her at least one baby since I'm having 2. The last time I saw her, we were having lunch and she started babbling about keeping one of my babies, so I paid for my meal and left and haven't seen any of them since then. After I have my girls, I log on to Facebook to hundreds of threatening messages from my family and friends about how I stole my sister's babies and ruined her life. She posted a picture of her nursery that she had for my babies. There's so many posts about how generous I am for going through the pregnancy and giving my sister the babies. She told everyone I was giving her my babies, and she has my pictures of them in the NICU saying how she can't wait to bring them home. When I was 27, my boyfriend proposed to me. We both have stable jobs and decided to plan the wedding immediately. Around the same time, my brother proposed to his 24-year-old girlfriend and they started planning for the wedding as well. One day, my future sister-in-law called me to see if we can go over wedding planning. That's when she told me if I could get married in the afternoon and that she could get married an hour or 2 later and then we share the reception. She said it'd become a great way for us to become sisters and that this will mean the world to my brother. In reality, I know that they aren't financially well off and she wants the fancy wedding without the fancy wedding price tag. I didn't really know what to say, but I told her that's mine and my fiance's wedding. We planned it for us and we want it to be about us. She exploded in anger and said I wouldn't understand how hurtful it is to see the amazing wedding that I'm planning and know that she couldn't have something like that. I told her I waited to get married so that I could afford the wedding I wanted. And she said she wants to get married before she's old and dried up like some people. She called me heartless and a selfish bitch. I stormed off and my brother called me a few days later. He asked if I could please reconsider. I told him I didn't want to share my wedding day and I wasn't sure if I even wanted his fiancé there. My boyfriend and I have been on and off for about 4 years. We've had our share of problems that stem mostly from his parents. He comes from a very upper-class family, and we met when I was just waitressing and he was in college for a high-paying job. 6 months ago, I gave birth to a very much unplanned but beautiful baby girl. Of course, his parents were pissed about this, and from the start of my pregnancy kept trying to say that they didn't think it was my boyfriend's baby. But when our daughter was born, they became amazing grandparents. They always offered to keep her times when we needed breaks, and it really helped us out, and they would always buy things for her, returning her with new outfits, bottles, toys, and etc. So anyways, a few days ago, my boyfriend came home and he was in a pretty bad mood. He didn't want to tell me, but in the end, he decided it was best if I knew. His parents let it slip that they had taken our daughter to get a DNA test about a month after she was born. Of course, the results came back that my boyfriend was the father, but he was pissed that they would even do something like this without our consent. I was livid. I called his parents and immediately told them that they were cut off. I don't need them or their money, and I'm disgusted that they would stoop so low. They apologized and said they only wanted what was best for their son, and they can't blame me for trying to be good parents. I've been helping my friend plan her wedding for months. We bought her dress together, brainstormed over color schemes and decor for her big day. I was so excited. She had told me that she was going to take care of all the bridesmaids' dresses, and all I had to do was give her my measurements. Then, at her bachelorette party, she mentions that she's already had a dress fitting with the other bridesmaids. I was a bit flabbergasted they had done this without me and asked if they had a dress in my size, and she cut me off and said, "Oh, I'll get it sorted." Next thing I know, she's not responding to my texts or messages. I kept trying to tell myself she's just busy with wedding plans, but I couldn't help but feel like something was up. Now it's about 2 weeks before the wedding and I still have no bridesmaid's dress to wear. I contacted the maid of honor and asked what was going on, but I didn't get a response from her either. I woke up to a text from the bride this morning that said, "I'm sorry, I feel really bad for saying this, but I can't find a dress in your size. I even tried changing the whole dress style, but nothing I found would fit you. You're too big for all the sizes I could find. I don't think you can be a bridesmaid anymore." I feel completely shattered. I was really looking forward to this. My whole family knows I'm gonna be a bridesmaid and are really excited for me, and now I have to tell them I can't do it because I'm too fat to fit in a dress.
A few months ago, my boyfriend Blake and I went out to brunch with some of our friends. After a few mimosas, my close friend Jackie started talking about how she's been making a lot of extra money lately by making content on OnlyFans. A few of the other girls in the group started talking about it and asking Jackie about how much she's making off of it. Blake chimed in after a while and began asking Jackie a bunch of questions as well. He asked her what her content is like and how many videos she's made so far. At first, I didn't think anything of it because I was a little curious too. However, then he started to get a little too interested. He started recommending certain things she should do in her videos to sell more and get more people to watch and subscribe. This was the first red flag. He then asked her what name she came up with or what she goes by on OnlyFans, which to me sounded like he was trying to find her account to check it out later. I gave him a dirty look and he caught on quick and stopped talking about it. I felt a little uncomfortable and planned on talking to him about it later, but I ultimately decided to let it go because I thought I was being insecure. A few weeks later, we hung out with Jackie again when we went downtown with some friends. At one point in the night, Blake asked Jackie about her OnlyFans and how it was going. She smiled at him and told him that it's going great. I also noticed throughout the night he kept staring at her for long periods of time. After that night, I was suspicious and decided that I was going to do some detective work. Needless to say, I couldn't believe what I found. Part 2, I found out my boyfriend subscribed to my best friend's OnlyFans. When I got home, I went to Jackie's Instagram page and immediately noticed that Blake was following her, which he hadn't been before. This definitely got me thinking. I knew it was wrong and an invasion of privacy, but I couldn't help myself. I waited till Blake was asleep and I went through his phone. I came across a conversation with his coworker about Jackie's OnlyFans and my heart dropped. I went to his browser and opened the OnlyFans site, and not only did he have an account, but he was still logged in. I went to his profile and immediately saw that he was subscribed to Jackie's OnlyFans. Not only that, but he was sending her extra tips frequently as well. When I confronted him about it, I couldn't believe his response. He said it was just like watching adult videos and I shouldn't be mad at him for something like that. He continued stating that all guys do it and that he didn't see a problem with it. I was so mad I left for the night and called my friends, including Jackie, on a group call to tell them what happened. They all agreed with me on how weird and not okay it was and encouraged me to leave his ass. Jackie also said that she had no idea he was following her and that she was creeped out by it. However, when I asked some of my other friends, they thought it wasn't a big deal and agreed that all guys look at that kind of stuff. I decided that it was too much for me and I ended up breaking up with Blake. However, he's been messaging me nonstop to take him back and getting my other friends to agree with him. I know all guys look at stuff like that, but to me,
imagine you found your 50-year-old dad making out with one of your college classmates. Well, here's how that happened to me. 1 year ago, my dad came to my school and put up flyers. He said he wanted to give private Spanish lessons and make some extra money. 6 people showed interest and called him up, but he only chose Vicky, a really good-looking girl who always wore super revealing clothes. They were supposed to study inside the college library, but I found them making out at my home. I said, "What the hell are you two doing?" "Oh, hey, sweetie. Vicky told me she turned 18 last week, so I threw her a small birthday party." "Yeah, and your dad bought me a $2,000 necklace as a gift. Isn't that awesome?" That was the moment I realized my dad was a creep. Instead of dating a woman his age, he'd rather spend all of his money to date a younger girl. It was disgusting, but Vicky seemed proud of it. One time she pointed at me in school and said, "Yeah, I'm dating her dad."
Am I the asshole for taking away my daughter's car for lying to my fiance? I, 36-year-old male, have a 16-year-old daughter. I have full custody of her because her mom had a mental breakdown and has been in and out of rehab. This January, I started dating my girlfriend who is 21 years old. Then quarantine happened, and that time apart made me realize that I wanted to spend my life with her. So I proposed in May and she moved in, and our wedding is in October. Since then, my daughter has been a nightmare. She and my younger sister, who is 25, keep calling my fiance the kid. My fiance decides to invite my daughter out to go shopping. She kept trying to set a date, but my daughter kept saying she had an extracurricular activity she needed to tend to. So yesterday, when my daughter once again made up the excuse, I decided to follow her car. She ended up pulling to a diner, and I realized she was grabbing lunch with my younger sister. I was beyond furious. First at my sister for enabling toxic behavior, and second at my daughter for lying to her future stepmom. I ended up taking her car keys away from her. Her aunt then called and said I had no right to do so. I explained that she would not be getting the car back until she makes an attempt to bond with her stepmom. Am I the asshole for not...
Storytime on how my mom tried to convince me to have a threesome with her. So I had just graduated high school, and my mom was single for a while. Then she started dating this guy, which me and my brother really liked, but he was a few years younger than my mom. And honestly, we were happy for her. She was very depressed and miserable with my dad, so we were okay with it because she was finally happy. So like I said, I had just graduated high school, and I always said I never wanted to go to college, so I started working retail. One day while I was at work, my mom called me and said, "Hey, let's go out shopping." And who am I to say no? So after I got out of work, I met my mom, and we went lingerie shopping. That's what she specifically wanted to get. So we were at the store, and the first thing she said was, "Let's get matching sets," which was weird coming from my mom, but I said, "Fine, come back for part 2.
Am I the asshole for inviting my girlfriend on an expensive vacation and expecting her to pay all of her share? My girlfriend and I, my parents, my brother and his wife all went on vacation in another country a week ago. My girlfriend knew this trip was coming up and took on a second job waitressing on the weekends for several months to get ready for it. My brother and I were the ones who did most of the planning of the itinerary, although we did ask everyone else for input. For background, I make around $150,000 as an IT consultant. My girlfriend is a teacher making around $45,000. My parents are pretty affluent, as well as my brother and sister-in-law. We have always split things 50-50 in the 2 years we have been together. There were a few times on the vacation where she did not go on the outings with us, wine tasting, scuba diving, etc. She also would only eat 2 meals a day, stating simply that she was on a budget. My family does favor more high-end, expensive places. My parents thought it was very strange that she only eats 2 meals a day, although she normally eats 3. I mentioned how I heard her stomach growling one night and said I was concerned about her having an eating disorder. When we got back home, I asked her why she skipped out on several of the outings and only ate 2 meals a day. She got teary.
You see, my elementary school was crazy. We used to play this game called booty tag. Booty tag consisted of grabbing booty. There was none of that tag, you're it. The goal was to keep your booty safe and not get caught. Contrary to popular belief, this game was for the girls. You see, in elementary school, all the boys thought that girls had cooties. So if you were a boy and you got tagged by a girl on the booty, nobody was gonna mess with you because you have cooties. So the whole playground was just girls going crazy, grabbing booty. I remember one time this kid named MJ fell on the ground and they just started kicking his booty. He couldn't walk for the rest of the day. Since I was really fat, I couldn't run away when they were trying to tag me. So I ended up becoming really good friends with this girl named Sierra. She was my only friend because I had cooties since I got tagged. Now me and Sierra became really close. Like we was 8 or 9 years old sharing trauma stories. One day she asked me, "Yo, do you want to see something?" Alright, so here's part 2 on how I got suspended in elementary school. So Sierra looks at me and she asks me, "Yo, do you want to see something?" I'm like, "Yeah, show me." She says, "Look under the table." She literally pulls her pants down and she shows me her you-know-what. And it literally just became a thing we do every day. The girls at the table would look out for the teacher. I would stick my head under the table and take a peek. So everything was going smoothly. Then boom, Jerry hit. Now Jerry was another loser just like me. He used to get tagged all the time in booty tag. So naturally me and him became really good friends. What I loved about Jerry is that he always had my back on the playground. If anybody tried to mess with me, Jerry would have been there to knock you out. So I tell Jerry about the Sierra situation and he says that he wants to see. So randomly one day he just sits at my table and he takes a peek with me. Things get crazy after that because Jerry stands up and looks at the girl and asks them if they want to see something. Alright, I'm going to be posting part 3 really soon, but if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram, like my picture.
Am I the asshole for telling the truth at my best friend's wedding during my toast? I'm a 30-year-old male and my best friend got married last week. I just bought a house and my wife is expecting our son in November, so I let him know I was limited in what I could contribute financially. But I did tell him I would try my best. So I went to the bachelor party in Miami, I rented the tux, and paid for mine and my wife's dinner at the rehearsal dinner. I also had a gift of $300 that I was going to give them, but we will get to why I didn't. His fiancée at the time would text me multiple times a day with updates. Fine. I didn't always respond and it got to the point where if I didn't respond at least once a day, I'd get a call from my buddy. She texted me for the following reasons. 1. My wife was not allowed to talk about our pregnancy at all. She didn't want anyone to focus on that more than her, the bride. 2. She was not going to order any special food for my wife. No one asked her to. My wife was fine with whatever she was going to be served. 3. I was not helping the groom enough. He had to help her with favors, seating charts, and programs, so I had to help him with those things according to her. 4. She said if I was a true best man,
I fucked up by insulting the one-legged girl I'm interested in.
I'm scared for this.
So, in these corona times, I'm bored out of my mind, so I downloaded a dating app. I find a girl I'm really into, and we connect on many things. She loves Star Wars, some games, and she even likes football, although she completely chose the wrong team to support. Packers. Anyhow, I'm a bit wary she might be a catfish, cause she's hot as hell. At least a 10, maybe more, while I'm a 5 on my best days. There are a lot of catfish on the site, so I ask her for a picture of her. She's understanding and we exchange some pics, nothing special. On one of the pics, I spot a prosthetic leg. Well, shit, she's probably a bit insecure about the whole thing. So I decide I must tell her I noticed, but don't care about it. Yeah, I think most of you probably think I'm an idiot already, but don't put the popcorn away just yet. It's about to get worse. I haven't mentioned the prosthetic yet, but I'm looking for an opportunity. We're just throwing cheesy pickup lines at each other. I ask if she...
my future mother-in-law is the absolute worst person I've ever met in my life. I'm 30 years old and my boyfriend is 31 and we've been together for 8 months. He's the sweetest and most caring man I've